Hi, this is Kevin Smith, CS134. I want to show you a simple tutorial on how to make sprite art in Photoshop so that you can make your own sprites for the first assignment. So the first thing we need to do is configure Photoshop for sprite art. It doesn't normally come configured that way as its default configuration. So first of all, well, let's create a new composition here. Okay. And we're going to make, let's just call it, say, we'll make a happy face, something simple, with a width of 50, height of 50, and we want to set this to pixels. Okay. Now, I just made a sprite before, so mine is already set to pixels, but yours probably will, by default, will be in centimeters, possibly, or inches. So set it to pixels. 50, start with a 50 height by 50 width, but the size of your sprite depends on your application. If you're making the missile launcher sprite, you may want to make that a little bit bigger. You know, maybe that is 100 by 100 or 150 by 150. So let's go ahead and create that. Okay, and then with the Alt Shift key, we want to move in. Now notice I already have a grid configured. Normally, you won't see this grid. It is off by default. So you want to turn the grid on. To turn the grid on, you go to View, Show. It's a little bit buried. And then you have this grid. So I can turn the grid off and on. Okay. And let's see, grid. Where is it? Show. Grid. And it looks like control and then quote, single quote, actually turns it on and off. So that might be an easier shortcut. Okay. Now I'm going to want to set the color of the grid to something reasonable. I've made it black, but you can set your grid color under Preferences, Edit Preferences, and then under Grid. Grid color, we can go down to grid color, and I've set it to black. You know, you might want to pick other colors depending on your preference for the background. I'm just going to go with black for now because I want to create a gray background, and black will show up nicely. Okay, so now that we have our composition 50 by 50 with a grid, we need to set up a few tools. So I have found that you really only need 3 for very simple pixel art. So we have the pencil here, okay, and if the pencil doesn't show up, go down to this icon and right click on it and you'll see your options. Pick pencil tool and you'll have the pencil configured in your menu, okay. The other tool that we would want to use is a bucket tool to be able to fill in color. So that's called the paint bucket tool. Again, if it doesn't show up, if one of these other ones are there, you can pick the paint bucket tool. And then finally, if we make mistakes, we need the eraser tool. Okay, now selecting these, putting these tools here is not enough. We have to actually configure them for pixel art. So we're going to go in the tool and then select the pencil and then click on the eye and make sure that we have set it to 1 pixel with a hardness of 100%. Okay. If we go down to the eraser, same thing, 1 pixel with a hardness of 100%. Now, in addition with the eraser, make sure the mode is set to pencil. So it's a pencil eraser, not a brush eraser or a block eraser. Okay. And then for this one, the color fill, I didn't have to set anything. Okay. So we'll click it back on pencil. And there's one more preference that's very important that you set, and that's in general. We go up to general and there's these 3 things here. We want the image interpolation to be nearest neighbor, not the default smoother or bilinear that's it has set. We want nearest neighbor. So that way we actually draw a pixel and Photoshop doesn't do any interpolation or blurring effects across each pixel. Okay. So now that we got the pencil set, we can pick some color. I don't know, I'll pick blue for now, and we can draw blue in here. I can hit Control Z to undo what I've drawn. So let's just draw something simple. I'll click yellow over here, you know, maybe like a bright yellow. Oh, before we do that, let's set up our layers. So I have background here, okay? I can rename that layer. I'll just call it BG by double clicking on that. Okay, let's go up here and create a new layer, okay? And we're gonna call it, let's just call it face. Okay, so we have the face here and we have the background. Now just so that I can see my face when I draw it, I'm going to pick the color bucket and I'm going to pick sort of a nice, you know, light gray color and fill that with light gray. Okay, so now I have a background to draw on and I click on my face layer. I'm going to now draw in my face layer. So let's pick, you know, something bright like a yellow, and we'll draw, you know, with the pencil, a happy face. So maybe what I'll do is I'll draw kind of a big circle here. Okay, it's a little bit oblong, but you know, I can go maybe make that a little rounder there. Maybe take my eraser and correct that a little bit, you know, and maybe I don't know. You guys can get creative with this, and then I can kick my eraser and take those off there. Okay, and then you know I might want to. Okay, so I'll pick my pencil, fix that. Okay, whatever. Now I want to fill this whole thing in, so I just do a bucket fill. Okay, and there's my happy face. And suppose I want to add eyes. Okay, so let's keep my pencil selected, and maybe I'll just say I want black eyes for now. Okay, so this is going to be more of a serious kind of happy face. He's happy, but maybe more serious. Okay, and then we're going to make kind of a happy here, and I don't know, put some eyebrows there. I don't know. It looks kind of a little bit evil, but anyway, you get the idea. Now, one thing nice about Photoshop is it has these effects. So I can, if I want to add like a glowing effect to this, I can go in here and pick the outer glow, and there's a glow. Now I might want to configure that glow, so you got to actually pick this box. If you don't pick the box, the configuration menu will be for something else. So it's a little confusing here. So we pick outer glow, and we pick this box here. Now we have the outer glow menu. Now for the color of the glow, I may want to choose a different color. So right now I have it yellow. You know, maybe I want something more fiery. Okay. I might want, I don't know, something more blue, maybe a green, whatever. I'm going to probably go with something maybe like that for now. A little combination of orange and yellow. Okay, so we click OK, and then we can adjust the size of it. So we probably don't want it super big. And we can adjust kind of the spread of it, and then you know, the opacity, we can make it more or less transparent. You know, 75 is probably a good number. Okay, so if you notice, if we click on the layer icon, we can actually turn these things on and off. Okay, the background. So it's good to look at your sprite with the background on and off, especially with transparent layers, because we have gray behind it. If we turn the gray off, it's going to mix in as a different color. So I'm going to go click on my glow again, and I'm going to fix the color to be maybe something more yellow, so I don't have that. Okay, so click the background off. It's more yellow. Okay, so now we have our sprite drawn. Now finally what we want to do is save this out. So let's turn our background off. We want to save this out to an image file. So if I do File, Export, there's this thing called Quick Export to PNG, which is handy. We want PNG files. This is the first time I've actually noticed this, but it's in my version. If it's not in your version, this export as, and you can go into, sorry, there is file save as. You can go into your browser and pick PNG. Okay. Now, just for experimentation, I'm going to try that file export as quick export to PNG. Okay, there's my happy face. I am going to save it to my pictures under happy face. Save. Okay. Okay, now that I've saved my little happy face sprite, I have a Open Frameworks example program that can allow you to drag and drop an image into the workspace. So I can drag and drop that in there, and there's my little happy face. And let me just zoom in on them, and you can see that the area around it is not shown, and it's just limited to this area that you've drawn. Okay, so hopefully you're able to get that and make your own sprites for your game.